I used to fantasize about getting a lot of money, maybe winning a lottery, and then just chilling on some beach somewhere and just the rest of my life. And that's not God's idea of a big break. That's not God's idea of success. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to Own Your Lane. This is the best place for ambitious people who are taking charge of their lives, making that impact, making that money, and living a fulfilling life. I hope that's you. And if that's you, yay! I'm so glad you connected and you're here today. How are you doing? So, today I want to talk about grace versus hustle. I'm a Christian. I am powered up by Christ. I love Jesus. I love the Word of God. And I also know that God created me to achieve specific things. In the past, I used to separate the two. I used to think my faith was something else, my business was something else, my ministry was something else. And over time, I have realized that when God made me, He gave me the ability to do work. He gave me the power to do work. He's the one who helps me succeed. So worshiping Him doesn't mean me crying all over. Me being in the same vein with God doesn't mean closing myself up in the bedroom and just praying all day, though sometimes it's that. But it really means that I am effective. God pours His Spirit into me. God empowers me, equips me, not so that I can sit in a corner and curl away and cry, but so that He can use me to influence the earth. According to Genesis 1 verse 28, one of my favorite verses, God has given human the mandate to rule over the earth, to multiply, to influence the earth. We don't influence the earth with something that is external to us. Each one of us has a gift within us that we're supposed to use, cultivate it, get it to a level of excellence that is enough, get some influence in a certain domain. So some artists, one of my favorite artists is like Sinach. She has dominated the earth. She studied in Nigeria, she grew her influence, she perfected her craft, and now she's known all over the earth. People sing her music to worship God all over the earth. That is an example of using the gift you've been given, working that gift, and then influencing a certain space with that gift. And that's for all of us. Maybe for music, it seems easier. But you can see people who have influenced different sectors. We can talk about Jeff Bezos influencing the online market. We can talk about Bill Gates influencing computers. We can talk about footballers. We can talk about artists. We can talk about accountants. We can talk about CEOs. We can literally talk about any field, and you'll find an exceptional person that stands out, that mapped the way, that raised the standard in that sector. And you are called for that. That is dominion. That is the mandate of the human race. And now, because I didn't understand that, I actually just thought worshiping God, pleasing God is me going to church, is me praying in my room and fasting and there. And when I walked out to go to work, it was just me doing something that was separate from God. And that defeats the whole point of really God creating us. He wanted us to do the work and use that work to influence the earth for His glory. So when we do exceptional work, it points back to God. It points back to the power that He has put in us to create and to exert and to govern, just like He governs. Another thing that I used to think about was work was a curse. I thought after Adam sinned, God took him from chilling in the garden to now working the field. But that's not true. Because when you read the story in Genesis, God created man and then gave him work. He said, tend these fields. And Adam was busy naming them and tending those gardens. And God said, no, this person needs a helper. And the helper came to help him in his mandate to tend the field. And the mandate was already to multiply, fill the earth, govern it, govern the fish in the seas, the birds in the air, the animals on the ground. God gave them that and gave Eve as a helper in that before the curse happened after they sinned. Work is not a curse. Work is not supposed to be a burden. I used to fantasize about getting a lot of money, maybe winning a lottery, and then just chilling on some beach somewhere and just the rest of my life. And that's not God's idea of a big break. That's not God's idea of success. He has given you gifts. He has given me gifts. He's given us talents and opportunities to help, to support, to influence, to uplift. That is the duty of man. That's our duty. Now, where did work become a burden? Work became a burden because people started fitting in. So God gives you a talent for science. So you're a great scientist. You're good at these tables and seeing all these formulas. So you're born in a family that is artistic and they're laughing at you because you're doing the science and they're pushing you into the arts. And now you are this science genius who is now operating in an arts environment. You're unhappy, you hate arts. Now you think work is boring because your work involves you doing something that you're not gifted in. Take me, for example, I am an accountant professionally. I don't do that anymore actively, but I was born in a family that valued traditional jobs. So being an accountant, being a doctor, an engineer, those are things that I esteemed in an African family, an average African family. And there I was, a public speaker, confident. I was actually into the arts. I could act, I could write. I was into reading a lot. And because I was sort of smart, they were like, okay, become an accountant, you'll be set for life. And there you have this public speaking, extroverted person becoming an accountant. And they're unhappy. They think work is horrible. And they are fantasizing about being on vacation the rest of their lives. When in actual sense, work is not horrible. You're just in a field that is not matched for you, and therefore it feels horrible. So you're there thinking, work sucks. And that's what I used to think about. And then when I look back into the office where I used to work, there were a whole bunch of us that thought work sucks. Why? Because we were misplaced. We were taught that there were careers that worked, there were talents that worked, that were acceptable. And if you didn't have them, too bad. So fit in. So we were taught to fit in, and then you're in a job that when Monday comes, you're like, oh my gosh. And that's a terrible way to live. That's a terrible way to live, and that's not God's design. What I hope to do is to encourage you to make the changes that you need to do. Because our parents, our guardians, our mentors, whoever comes our way means well. They look at the environment, they look at the community, they look at the prospects, and they think this person will be better off if they are this accountant, this doctor, this engineer. They'll have a job, a good government job, or maybe they'll be employed, and then they'll just settle down and they'll be set for life. And that's fine because that's their reality. They are treating you like they would have loved to be treated. But you now, it's up to you to pave your own path. You can't still blame your parents. You can't still blame your guardians. You can't still look back on the 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago. Today is your opportunity to think, am I in a field that I love? Is work a blessing? Am I hustling so hard, struggling to make things work when I feel in my spirit that I'm not gifted to make this happen? Because when we are working in these offices, you actually know some people are not gifted to do the work they're doing. So they are exceptional accountants, and you know some accountants are just like, meh. So even when people are trying to work with an accountant in the office, they'll be like, we'd rather work with him than him. We'd rather work with her than her. Even in the marketing department, there'll be people who say, on our projects, we want him to work on it, not her. Or some people in the audit department will say, we'd rather have our audit done by her, not him. Because those people are different, they're gifted differently, different work ethics, of course, but the gifting also helps. So if you are an auditor who hates your job and you're not gifted at it, people will see that. Your results will show it. So it serves you to get to a place where you can ask yourself, am I really good at what I'm doing? Am I really gifted for it? Is this what I want to do? And it might be scary to think, oh my goodness, this is not what I want to do. What should I do now? What you can do then is just to map a pathway to say, okay, how can I make the adjustments? How can I invest in the things that I'm good at? You don't have to quit your job. You don't have to shock anything. You don't have to share with the world. You just have to make a plan that moves you from where you are to where you're supposed to be. And that's what I do with my program, Circle of Greatness. I know that so many people who have greatness embedded in them by God himself, but they're stuck in a situation where they don't know how to move from where they are to where they need to be. What I do in this program called the Circle of Greatness is to provide you with a roadmap that moves you from where you are to where you need to be, step by step, brick by brick. So you can continue to be financially protected, you can continue to experiment on your purpose, you can continue to discover whilst not disrupting everything. Because there are some people like me who disrupt everything just to pursue their purpose, but I understand many people would rather not. Many people would rather have a plan that is working, and when they make the changes that are key in their lives, they are not financially messed up. They are still sober in their minds, they're still sober in their finances, and then they can transition slowly. And that's what the program does for people who know they're called for greatness, which all of us are really, but want a roadmap that works, that has been tried and proven. The pain has been covered by yours truly, who developed this roadmap through pain and trial and error. My encouragement to you is, as you move into this new month, don't let work become a curse. Your gifts and talents, your personality, if it doesn't fit where you are, there's somewhere it can fit, but nobody will do the heavy lifting for you. It has to be you who is willing to say, okay, there has to be something that has to shift in my life. I have to invest differently. My time, my resources, my attention, everything. I have to invest differently because I feel mismatched with what's going on in my life. Because for me, looking back, I remember people clapping at me when I was unhappy. I felt mismatched in this job. I felt dry in this job. I felt blocked, stagnant in this job. But people were clapping, thinking, oh, she's working in this place. Yeah, she's doing well. But I was not happy. So people's responses to you are not a good measure of your purpose or how well you're doing. The measure is how you feel when you assess yourself honestly, how you feel your gifts are being utilized, and your connection with God. Because if you have a true connection with God, you will feel a mismatch when you're not within His purpose. And when you are making those adjustments and stepping into new places, you will feel scared, but you will feel an encouragement, a peace that comes from God. So this is your role. This is your job. You are the one who maps that path. You are the one who turns this car around. You are the one who makes the changes. And then your life will start following you. The support, the opportunities that arise in your purpose will start following you after you have made the resolve. Of course, there'll be challenges that come with that. Again, amazing things, amazing achievements don't just come on a silver platter. You will have to pay the price. So there'll be tests that will arise to test your resolve. Are you really going to make this change? Are you really going to stick with this? So you'll be tested, you'll be tried, even by your family, by so many situations that will arise, so many challenges. But you have to understand that God created you for a purpose, and your work is that purpose. When the Holy Spirit comes upon you, it's not to make you cry, it's to give you power to do the work that God has designed for you. And unless you get to that place, you will be unfulfilled in life. You will have regrets in your old age. You will have regrets at your retirement. And that is just one of the worst things I can imagine. And that is one of my huge motivators. To think, I don't want to retire with regrets. I want to give it all up, do the best I can. I know that I gave it my all, and it was really up to God to glorify Himself in my life as I stayed faithful to the calling that He put on me. So if you want to work with me on this kind of project, please click the link in the description. I'm so happy to support you and to grow with you. And if you found this episode helpful, please let me know by DMing me on all the socials. Maybe Zaina Kanchaza, you can find me there. Also, like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment here as well. And also invite other people so that we can grow together and level up. Meet me here every Tuesday. I have a new episode where we continue to give you amazing content that directs you towards your purpose and your greatness. I will see you next week. Bye-bye.